What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Apex, the podcast. Ladies and gents, we are finally back with a banger interview and banger episode with Monsoon from Complexity. This is one that we've wanted for a long time, guys. This is one that we've been really hoping for a while. We finally got it randomly off of a whim. This is one that you try to plan for ahead of time. And this one kind of came together in the final moments of the day, right before I got off work. I get the news, hey, we got Monsoon. I'm more than excited. It was an awesome interview. It was everything we could have asked for and more. Super excited for you guys to hear what Monsoon has to say about how he came into the esport, how many other esports he's participated in, his cooking, some of his music stuff, all of that. There was so much we left on the table, too. There's a lot more times that I hope we get to see Monsoon and kind of break down his story and everything, because he's one of the best personalities in Apex Legends in the pro scene, in my humble opinion. So it was great to have Monsoon on. We definitely gas him up. I expect some comments to say, we were, a little over the top with the gas, but that's fine. I love Monsoon. You guys know I love Monsoon, and everybody else here on the pod loves him as well. He's hard not to love. He's a great guy. So we've got Monsoon here in just a second. No intro, obviously, just your boy. I just wanted to set the table real quick before we go into the interview. Just not a whole lot to talk about right now. But without further ado, ladies and gents, let's get into Complexity Monsoon. All right, ladies and gents, we have been waiting for this interview for a very, very, very long time. It's long overdue, but we're very excited to be inviting for the first time on the Apex, Monsoon from Complexity. Mon, I don't think it's crazy to say that you're one of the best personalities in this scene, in this game, and it's such a pleasure to have you on. How are you doing, my man?
Dude, first off, thanks for being so kind. I'm doing great. I mean, it's a beautiful day today, beautiful night. Excited to be here. Finally, you guys have asked me before. Didn't line up, but I'm super stoked to be here tonight, so appreciate having me. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great.
Amazing.
Nothing to complain about.
Nothing to complain about. Yeah. It's kind of a weird time in Apex right now, right? Where it's like we're waiting for champs and it's so far away, and we still have the BLGS, which is nice, but just overall right now you've had some different changes to the roster. There's been a lot of different changes to the meta. How are you feeling with everything going on?
Oh, I could not be happier. I think right now is probably the most bright part of Apex for me the last 3 years, for sure. So, I mean, we're excited with everything. I'm super stoked with the team, with the meta, myself personally, my relationship with Apex, all of that. So, truly, I'm pumped to be playing right now, for sure.
Yeah, you know what? I will say, and we'll dive into this a bit when we get into BLGS and stuff, but watching your team in the scrims and BLGS and everything like that, there's a lot of people who obviously there's really mixed opinions about this current meta, but every time I tune into your team, you guys just look like you're having fun. I love it. Dude. You guys are just having a great time every single time. It's like one of my most enjoyable POVs I've been watching with the scrims and everything recently.
But can I curse?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that's sick. I'm glad. I'm glad because we've been. Yeah. I mean, I've been having a lot of fun on Jibby. I've always wanted to play Jibby, but I've never had the option to. So I'm pumped.
Especially with that auto shotgun reload.
Dude, it's insane.
I saw the 1v4 basically on that one team, and given it's ranked, but that, if anybody hasn't seen, if you want to see how to optimally play Gibby with a Sentinel and a Mastiff in one clip on MNK, it's on Monsoon's Twitter.
That's okay.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the auto reload is that's what bails me out if I don't have a secondary for close range, before is the Mozambiques, but now it's just I get 15 shells basically in a fight, so it's pretty good.
It's so interesting too, because I feel like when you go on the Bluebird app, it's just constant complaints all the time. You're just seeing constant complaints all day, and it seems like you're still having a good time with it. Do you think the complaining has kind of become a weird, odd mainstay on the internet with Apex, and do you think it's a little bit overblown with what we've got right now?
I mean, I feel like the complaining is always at the average level, no matter what. I mean, nobody's going to be the happy. I mean, you can't please everybody, right? So the people that are struggling or not finding as much success kind of feel a little different about it. But just like in any other transition, meta transition, patch transition, the learning curve is kind of difficult. And I can tell you right now, there's not a lot of teams, if anybody at all, that truly understands the potential of shield meta. So I think it'll be a while before people actually suck it up and are like, oh shit, this is crazy, you know. So for sure.
I think it's actually, I don't know, like from a viewer perspective, it's been one of the more entertaining metas. Like obviously, like now that especially that they remove the gold shield, I think it's really good because that was the only thing that felt a little bit unfair. Where if like you outplayed a team and they had gold shield, like and with the Newcastle, you couldn't. It felt like you weren't being rewarded. But now, like with the resets, it gives you that ability to that if you win a clean fight, like a third party isn't
Yeah.
so detrimental. Like you could do something about it, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I
100.
remember like a lot with like other games like Fortnite. A lot of people always love the siphon in Fortnite because it gave you that ability to fight off those third parties, and that's what this kind of almost feels like. I don't know, it's just really entertaining. It's I like the mix up. It's a lot better than having to see smokes and having to see cat walls like all day long where you can't see anything. Like I no scan meta that makes me happy, and like I said, watching your team, especially ever since you guys brought in enemy, like it's been awesome. Like it's been really fun to watch him, and I was even in his chat the other day messaging because like you guys have pulled off some crazy plays where he just sees great things when he was playing Pathfinder. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to watch.
Dude, thanks for saying so, man. I mean, yeah, Enemy's been fucking such a good teammate. I'm so proud of us so far, especially Kim, because now Kim's just like in the driver's seat, just like commanding and doing stuff, and such a good player. So I'm really excited to see how much further we can go as a team, especially in this meta. So yeah, for sure.
It's we talked to Kim just a few weeks ago too, and we asked him about obviously after LA there was you guys don't make finals there, and it was kind of like a it was one of those times where I really felt like you guys had a full head of steam going into that tournament, that event. It doesn't go your guys' way, and there was a lot of people kind of pointing the finger towards Kim, and he kind of mentioned like a conversation that you guys had between each other, and you gave him basically you're like, hey, you make the call on what you want to do. If you want to stay here, I'm glad to have you on. If you want to coach, you can go ahead and coach. And I think, just from hearing his response, it gave him like a lot of confidence. And he really stepped it up going into that next LAN, because looking at the numbers and looking at the statistics of what he did in LA versus Germany, it was a night and day difference. Like he was a completely different player. I just wanted to kind of get your side of that story and how that all went down from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean to start from the very beginning, I mean, we just had the option to pick up another player, and Lou was really wanted me to make the change. He's like, "Yeah, make the change." I was like, "Yeah, that's not why we got into this in the first place." You know what I'm saying? Like we came into it being a content creator group. We're thankful to compete. So I had like told him that I didn't want to do that, but I'm willing to entertain everything, and if that's going to actually happen, then I need to like break it down entirely and talk to Kim first, talk to the org, so on and so forth. TLDR, I gave him the option, like he said, and I was like, I have confidence in you, and I believe in the process. And if you want to do it, you deserve to be selfish in this time, because all of the prep and everything. He's always been the one that's kicked down the most, or talked about the most, or had the most to improve on, and like. Statistics aside, his work ethic and how he approaches everything has been the most phenomenal that I've ever seen and ever like teamed with and experienced with. And so I was happy to have him there. And obviously in Germany compared to LA, which LA wasn't like an individual thing. It was more so like we had swapped to Rampart Valkyrie in an attempt to like save our macro and figure out how to play the game together with like the new team and stuff. And we were going into a meta that was all battle, so Rampart Valk was good for getting the spots, but obviously the micro rotates and the fights were terrible. But without, going on a tangent, Germany, he improved so much, right? We made grands, top 12 even. We had a really good opportunity to like convert, I think like 70% of the games looking back at it, which is fantastic considering that I think we had 2 kill points in all of, I don't know, losers and losers finals and shit. But then fast forward to even today in champ scrims. Before leading up to LA and Germany, we were kind of getting smashed in champ scrims, but now I feel like we're just kind of running it. We're just kind of, some days, most of the time we'll win top 3, top 5. And then other days, if we like screw up some super important fights early game and have a bad set, then it's like, 13th to 8th or so. But I feel the progress, especially with enemy coming through. So, I mean, it seems like the investment was worth it and then some.
Yeah, like champ scrims, at least as like someone who like tries to follow stuff really closely, like I've tried to not get too caught up in the numbers sometimes about like the points and the performance on the day, because of the fact that I remember last year before champs I was doing that. I was looking like who was doing good, who wasn't, or maybe it would have been actually before LA, and then like, you know, just because of like all the ping differences, everything like that, a lot of the teams that can't perform don't perform, and then like, a lot of teams are doing better. It just completely flipped it. Like everyone who did bad ended up doing good in LA or something like that, right? So I don't look at that, but I try to look more at like the eye test. And then like, you know, I've kind of even heard your comms between you and Kimchi, and like, it seems like there's like, you know, sometimes you guys go at it with each other, but it's like, it's because there's like a lot of like passion there, like in trying to like make sure you guys are playing as best as possible and having like those good decisions. And what I was seeing is like after that, every follow-up game, you guys were performing well. So yeah, so it's been pretty cool to see like that progress over this last little bit since picking up enemy.
Dude, thanks for saying so. That validates the journey that it's been, for sure. Yeah, we get into it, but I mean, it's only because we have a mutual understanding of like the respect and love that we put forth into not only each other but the team. So it works out.
Now, I was thinking, because we're kind of like talking about champs, talking about BLGS, I was thinking of kind of going back a little bit to like early Apex, kind of like what got you into the game. I know you came from Overwatch, Realm Royale, like you were a gamer, like hard.
We're going far back.
It's far back, right? Like, you know, it's we like to do it with everyone who comes on the show for the first time. So kind of wanted to dive in there. Like, tell us about like your competitive gaming career and what led you to Apex.
Oh my gosh. I gamed for the longest time ever, you know. Obviously, you know, growing up for me wasn't the easiest thing, but one thing I always had that persisted through was not like friends or anything, but was having my computer. So that was nice. I grew up watching League of Legends players and CS players. I idolized them, you know. I loved them, dude. Like the idea of like playing games and people loving it and traveling and making money and all that stuff was super cool. So I always kind of stuck with the computer no matter what or where I was or what I was doing with my life in the time. And, you know, I played Overwatch back in the day. You know, I played for Tempo Storm for a little bit and some of the best unsigned teams. And I played PUBG professionally for Czech 6 and like the highest pro league that they had. And then Realm Royale, we won the like last invitational that they had too. So I feel like all of these like little side objectives and experience of competitive gaming, especially in the BRs like Realm and PUBG and stuff, has kind of like catalyzed into, hey, I'm now a decent enough person and player to be able to make something work consistently for Apex. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it. But at the time I was working 60, 70 hours a week in a diner in Utah, living out of Airbnbs when Apex came out.
So. How this is always the aspect that I love asking about, because currently I'm, you know, working regular, doing this stuff on the side, and there's a lot of people out there. Most of the people who listen are doing the exact same thing. It's part of the process where it's like, all right, I'm clocking in, and once I clock out, it's almost like I'm clocking back into something completely different, and I'm still trying to make it work and do all the things I want to do to be able to, you know, make something out of nothing. And at that time where you're working so many hours, I always wonder how exactly you were able to get through. Was it pure passion? Was it, you know, time management? Like, what exactly got you through to be able to work all those hours, but still be able to basically kickstart a streaming career out of basically thin air?
I mean, for me personally, I'm a super stubborn person. You know, I can't make myself do anything that I don't want to do, you know? So purely, it just like from resolve and passion. Like it wasn't a choice that I made. It was like something that I had to do because my personality and my being felt like I needed to do it. And it happened to work out. So I mean, I just pushed through basically. You know, working all those hours and cooking, you know, coming home and stuff, you know, I wouldn't even cook for myself. I was cooking so long all the time in restaurants. It'd be like, I'd come home and spend, you know, the 15% of free time that I did have, you know, playing games basically. And I'm thankful that Apex came out when it did. And I'm thankful to, you know, play when I did too. And it seemed like it all kind of fell into place for me. So super privileged, super lucky. That's for sure.
And it's crazy too, because it like, obviously we're at where we're at with Apex, but looking back at some of your performances in these other games, it's not like you were just playing these games. You were great at these games. When did you start to realize you were just better than everybody else at gaming? Because to me, like, it's always interesting. You hear all these people that come on the show talk about, you know, I played with my brothers and I was getting shit stomped in the early years of my life. And then eventually I kind of learned. But like, I mean, to go pro in so many different titles, there has to be you had to just be born a cyborg at this point, you know?
Dude, I mean, I don't even like. Obviously, I'm good enough to be pro and compete and stuff, but I don't think it's because I was like born a cyborg. I think it's just because I love the fact that I get to do it and that I want to do it. And if you really, really want something, then you work tirelessly, effortlessly to get it. You know, some people are doctors, obviously. We're gamers. We're fucking gamers, you know. When did I realize though that like I wanted to do it though, and that I potentially could? I mean, I think early on, League of Legends, I was like a 13-year-old challenger jungler. I was like, hey, you know, this is pretty good. And, you know, obviously when you come into these communities and you play with people who play a lot, then you're kind of talking to each other and you kind of get perspective from everybody else. You're like, oh, hey, you know, challenger's pretty good. So, I mean,
that's nuts
just...
for a 13-year-old. I was to put it into perspective, I played in middle school and like a little bit in high school. Yeah. And my peak rank was like gold on the 5v5s, and then I think I hit plat on Twisted Tree Line. Dude, the 3v3 back in the day.
The old school, yeah, that was so good. I remember the Twisted Tree Line.
So, dude, being a 13-year-old challenger is nuts. Were you challenger when you got a jacket? Did you get jacket?
I did not get a jacket actually for that.
Okay,
I do have a backpack.
You got the challenger backpack.
I don't know where it is. Yeah, it's fucking dope. I used it for like all my travel for like Apex and stuff early on too. Now I just keep it, you know, away in a box.
I got you beat. I was 13. I downloaded League. I lost a bot match, made fun of by all my friends, deleted the game, never played League ever again. I lost a bot match. And
you won.
I think I
have. You beat League of Legends.
I hear people talk about how badly, like, there's part of me, like, especially with Worlds recently, I hear everyone getting back into it. And I'm like, I'm 25 now. Like, do I have it? Maybe I won't lose a beat.
I was the absolute worst version of myself when I was playing League of Legends.
So maybe I don't touch it. Maybe I don't touch it.
Yeah, no, me too.
Degenerate form of me.
Me too. Especially as like a kid, you know, when I was homeless and shit. I had no friends, bro. I was just fucking hanging out with League players, dude. The worst people on the internet. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. I feel like beating League of Legends is not getting really good. It's being able to step away from it and like understand that like it doesn't have to be that for you, for sure. But lore that nobody really knows, actually. Season 1, I was like bronze. I was terrible at the game. But then somebody gave me a diamond account, and I was diamond 5-0 LP, or like on the threshold of diamond, and I was getting shit on. And then after a week, I was so frustrated with it that I stopped. I was just like, okay, I don't know what I need to do, but I need to fucking figure it out. And I kind of just like adapted into the diamond lobbies. And then from there, from being bronze to getting shit on diamond, the next season I was, you know, Masters, essentially, high diamond when it came out, like season 2. And I think Masters Challenger came out in season 3, and then Masters was added season 5 or something like that. But that's how it started, basically. Shit.
Do you ever consider about like how playing those games, especially like with Apex, it was kind of like the first BR that was it was the first BR, I think, that was a hero shooter and had all those abilities. So like, you know, I even have in my notes here, like, you know, remember you were Overwatch, like peak 27, and then you have League of Legends, which is obviously it has a lot of different abilities as a MOBA. Yeah. Do you ever like think that like that gave you an advantage over other pros in Apex coming in, like with like understanding how to use abilities more effectively than the guys who were like H1Z1?
100%, because if you're coming in with different levels of understanding, then the rate at which you're learning is going to be obviously accelerated. And so absolutely 100%, I think it helped a lot. You know, even with sniper rifles today, like I have like 8,000 hours in Arma. You know, I'd sit on top of hills with my DMRs from 1,000 meters away for 6 to 8 hours a day when I was like, you know, 12, 11 years old, sniping people as they walk through. And, you know, and Kim says it to this day. He's like, dude, yeah, you're just the only one that I've seen use mil dots. And I was like, yeah, dude, since like 9 years old, I was setting up, getting my zeroing down and lining up the scope and trying to do it. So I feel like every instance of like Overwatch and League of Legends and stuff has been able to make at least the base, you know, the structure of how I'm learning a bit better. And so that's why I say, like, through all that competitive experience, like finally when Apex released, I'm finally like a whole decent person to be able to apply everything in some sort of consistently successful way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. The Mildots one is funny because like I played a lot of PUBG and I felt like everyone was using them like in PUBG, but then like it felt like once Apex came around, it just seemed like everyone kind of does it by feel. They don't really try to like pay attention to the maybe because like the bullet speed is so much faster in Apex than PUBG, or like it could just like I don't know, the
Yeah,
distance in
yeah.
PUBG always felt longer or something like that, right? So yeah, maybe it was that, but like that's interesting to hear that you're using that. I didn't even know that you're using the Mildots and everything.
Yeah, 100. I mean, I ping. I see 321 meters. I put it, a fifth pass or in between, the third and the fourth mil dot, basically. And
That's why you're the charge rifle king right now,
dude. I mean, I use it a lot, so hopefully that does the most for me. But yeah, I mean, if you're squeezing out 1-2% accuracy, that translates for sure. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Is there a game that you wish you could just have it re-released right now to just get back into it from your past?
My favorite game ever in the entire world, Arma, Daisy mod, the original on Arma 208. I don't know if any of you guys have played it. That was like my religion. That was the first game that I built a computer for was for that. I'd get like 10 frames crawling around being chased by zombies and stuff. So if I had a choice, which I've thought about actually this question a lot, it'd absolutely be the Daisy mod.
You haven't tried that? I mean, I haven't played either, like, but I've always wanted to. I just like I feel like I don't have the time. But like, is the new Daisy like anything similar to that old one, or no? You feel like it doesn't have the same feel?
So it's a little similar. When they made the standalone, it kind of fell off for 6 or 7 years because they overcomplicated it. I don't know if you guys have played Scum, but Scum is kind of like so complicated. Like the first 2 minutes, you need to find food or you die within the next 20 minutes. So like Daisy, like modified loot, different dynamics and functions in game. Daisy mod was just like such a pure, perfect base of what gaming and what the concept was that it was easy to pick up. But Daisy, you run around, you don't find food. It's hard. So
yeah. Our editor Connor loves Daisy. Shout out Connor.
It's good. It's still good.
That conversation if he was talking to you about it, I bet.
Yo, love it.
So another interesting part about your career, and I think why it's it's just something you don't see very often, is you've spent a very long time with your org. And it seems like recently in gaming, not just in Apex, just across the board, a lot of times teams maybe get 1-2 chances to try and make something happen, and then all of a sudden it's back into the pipeline, see where things can go. But you've been with Complexity for a very long time now, and they've supported you for a very long time. I kind of wanted to go back to how that all came together with Complexity and over the years how it's been being part of that org.
Oh yeah, I mean it's changed my life entirely. Like it gave me the opportunity to be a person, to be myself, and like not have to worry about fucking what I'm gonna eat or where I'm gonna live. You know what I'm saying? And it started really on FlyQuest, but FlyQuest was looking to sell the team. Except, they were looking to really sell me and then let Zach and Lou go back in the day, especially because they knew Complexity had or was going to offer. But Mirko, one of the OG Complexity members, was playing with Reptar, and Mirko and I had been playing a bunch of games, and he's like, "Hey man, like my teammate's not working for us. Like, what are you gonna do?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm gonna stick with my team." But then obviously everything fell through, and Mirko jumped on it. And I was like, dude, they're going to move me out to Texas and pay me $5,000 a month to play Apex Legends within the first 2 years of the game. Fuck yeah, I'm going to take that shit. So I did. And I went from, being paid $1,000 a month and being served eviction notices because they'd pay me late to having an apartment and being able to like choose what kind of food I wanted to eat that night. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, I have a really strong relationship with them too. But I feel like the sustainability comes from the mutual understanding of how esports works, because I feel like the economy in esports as a whole is really inflated for teams and individual players and stuff. But yeah, so that's basically, we reached an agreement and we do things for each other. And that's what's been able to like keep us together for so long, to be able to stay inside the Apex space. Cause there have been multiple times that they've almost left. Right. But yeah, I kind of just went off a little bit. It's been great, basically. Yeah. Where was I going with this?
We were just talking about how good the org has been to you.
Dude, I love the org. It's great. They're so good. So
like,
yeah.
Did you ever really see yourself as being like, because I mean, I feel like for most people nowadays, like when they think of Complexity, you have to be one of the first faces that comes to mind.
Oh, for sure. Did I ever think I was going to be in this position
Yeah.
at all? Fuck no, dude. I thought that like it would be such a significant difference in like quality of life too, in terms of like who I was as a person. Because growing up and seeing all these esports players, you're like, oh shit, that's a crazy life, you know. So I never really thought, and everything really kind of fell into place. And being able to represent complexity and be like the forefront of stuff for them has been an honor and a privilege. And the fact that it's been 5 years has been fucking great, to be honest. So it's been insane. I never thought that it would be this way. I never thought that I'd be sitting on a podcast with you guys or fucking going to Japan for champs or even like competing in a champs. So never did, but glad I am for sure.
Yeah, I even liked that. I know on their YouTube channel, there's not many videos, but there is like an entire series of you. Like they would do an interview with someone, and then you're cooking for them in the back. Like,
yeah,
whole,
dude,
like,
that was so cool, man. The whole cooking series. Yeah, been able to do
Yeah.
some cool shit. That's for sure.
So I was also kind of hoping to, since we're still talking about like these early days of Apex right now, speaking also to like, you're getting in with complexity. You guys get into like that early era, 2020, kind of all the way to 2021 with
Yeah.
the online tournaments and everything like that, right? And you guys, you were absolutely dominating at that time, right? Like when you had Lou on there, you were putting up, I think, like fourth and third in almost every single tournament. Then you guys bring in Shiny. You guys are winning everything at this point, right? The big thing that I think everyone's always talked about in this era is you guys were kind of doing something different at the time, is where you were really establishing and pioneering like the edge meta. I was kind of curious about, like, if you remember back then, around that period of time when most people were playing Zone, like it was the Pathfinder, Watson, and Wraith meta still, and like what was it about like that you guys noticed from your team? And if you were to switch up the comp a little bit and playing that edge style, playing on the edge, fighting squads instead, what was it like? What like kind of made you do that? What was it that made you feel like we could win more and get a lot more points if we avoid playing the way everyone else is?
I mean, I don't think that was ever like the thought. It was
Yeah.
Okay. So Reptar had like flown back to Texas with me or not Texas, to Vegas, because I was living there before I moved into the complexity facility and shit like that. And he helped me pack up my shit, and we were on a 19-hour drive from Vegas to Texas. And he's like, "Dude, I'm just so tired of playing Watson." And so, you're chilling, and he's over here fucking sipping on a pen, just getting really high the entire time, because I drove the entire way. I like it that way. And he's just like, what if I just like stopped playing Watson and just, I don't know, fucking played Bloodhound? And at first I was like, dude, what? Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah. Like, I mean, Watson is good and we're already fighting a lot, but like, how do we really step it up a level in terms of our fights, for sure? And he was just tired of playing Watson, really. Like, Watson was just boring to him, especially with how active we were and how aggressive we were in fights. And so it kind of evolved from, okay, we're going to play Bloodhound, to, hey, we can push any team that we want because we have such a significant advantage on them. And that really is what started it, was that drive all the way back home, Reptar being faded out of his mind and just being, hey, we need to play Hound. And we tried it. And then we had decided that Jibby would probably be a bit better than Pathfinder too, to like fit in with, the close range CQB fighting and control, basically. So that was the start. That was it.
Well, yeah, because that's another thing it kind of pioneered, was like that scan meta, where like you guys, like, it felt like you guys realized like how powerful like being able to see where people was. The best documented piece of like this era that I've been able to find was actually 6 separate videos of Hodsick VOD reviewing you guys in a tournament where I think you still were playing the Watson. But like in the entire thing, he's talking about how like you guys were like the best 3v3 team at the time. So it was just kind of cool to see like you guys were already fighting like better than everyone else. But then you put that Bloodhound, and then suddenly it's like, oh, they're fighting by everyone better than everyone else. But now they can also see where everyone's coming from. And so like no one could do anything against you guys, where it's like you're putting up all these kills and whatnot, that like, yeah, like it formed like this whole new play style that you maybe you have some more experience than me, but like I feel like we see in Apex, but we don't really see in many other BRs. You mentioned you came from PUBG. You mentioned you came from, like, we know, Realm Royale. Did you ever experience like any of those games, anything like an edge meta, or was like how did the comp games work there? Was everyone just kind of playing Zone? Like, how did that work?
Everybody since the dawn of time, especially with PUBG being one of the beginning, because PUBG also started off as a mod in Arma, and it was always about survivability, which is like a key inherent fundamental of a battle royale in general. Is like, hey, if you survive longer, you're gonna have more opportunities and more chances to do better than other teams that don't, right? And I remember super early on, I would even preach to people in my chat. I was like, hey, like, play zone. You don't want to fight. You don't want to jeopardize it, because once again, if you stay longer or stay alive longer, you're going to have more opportunity to generate points and do good and be successful and stuff. So I definitely think that had a massive impact on it. But yeah, I mean, as soon as we started playing it, it was like a third eye moment, really, especially with the meta of, R301 Peacekeeper, which shotguns are back. Great. But yeah, Realm was kind of similar in the sense, but it wasn't really like a play style in general. It was more so of individual skill that would carry on a particular character. I don't know if you guys played. It's a character named the Assassin. The Assassin could go invisible, had a blink, had a concussion bomb that can move you from point A to point B, and had a sniper rifle that would do 65 to 75% of your health in one shot. So like that's also, if Realm continued to exist in that way and develop in a competitive fashion, that would be the catalyst to that aggressive edge meta too, right? The opportunity of understanding like your limits and what you can do. So yeah, an interesting question though, for sure.
Well, I've just always thought it's so cool because of the fact that, it's like Apex, I feel, has been a really good competitive esport at this point because of the ability to play different play styles. And I've talked about this once before, but like just seeing how Apex developed from everyone just sitting in buildings all the time and like getting that god spawn in zone was so powerful, to now today where you could play so flexible and you have hard edge teams, you have hard zone teams, and then you have teams that just like know that they got to play on the fly, and then everyone can succeed in their way, right? A lot of people, I don't think, believe that for a very long time, but we saw Alliance, who's been known as like an edge team, like succeed, right? So it's like, and like we've seen like even Aurora, like, at the LA LAN, like they succeeded, I would say, like as an edge team, right? So it's just really cool that all these different playstyles have existed in a battle royale where it's like where any other single battle royale they didn't. So that's why 100%. I thought it was interesting, because you guys felt like the pioneers of it, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, Apex is just the right recipe for being able to do crazy cool shit, really, ultimately. So yeah, love it.
And so we see like teams take Stacks mod, and that's like they have 2 POIs. But before that was a thing, it was basically unheard of. And you guys not only had like your POI, but you guys had almost a quarter of the map that was like designated of like, we're not fucking landing there because we're about to get rolled through. How long did it take for you guys to really establish like that presence of like nobody wanted to even land at the POIs next to you? And like,
dude,
how many teams even chowed?
So I'm glad that you asked that question, at least, because I stopped counting at 49. Back in the day,
I didn't even know that was the number. What?
Yeah, and I don't think we ever dipped below like a 92% win rate, on top of like off drops to pushing refinery as well. And yeah, we just did it for like literally a year and a half, and then anybody who landed refinery, like no pro teams would want to land refinery, because once again, it's just an isolated 3v3, and we were considered one of the better fighting teams in the games. It's like nobody wanted to do it. So anybody who went there without any experience of the POIs or any understanding of the fight or any understanding of the terrain. And so that experience, after we had fought off 49, 50 teams, was like immeasurable. There's not a lot you can do. So that was a really fun time for me. Every time I'd be cresting the hill, I'd be like, hey guys, I got my R301. I'm walking over now. I'd run across the pipelines and go to the top left side of the roof, and then that would be it. You know what I'm saying? It took a while to do that. Kimchi was actually one of my victims. I don't know if he brought that up. He brings up all the time. The first time he ever talked to me, I egoed him. He was like, hey, I'm going to land at Epi. And my first message back was like, hey, good luck with that. He brings it up all the time. But he was actually one of the teams as well that tried to come contest Epi at the time. And it just started stacking up, basically. But I guess that's probably what made like off drops in early game the most fun part of competitive Apex for me, was that era, for sure.
I think I've talked to Greek before about the fact that he was a refinery dropper.
He was a victim.
Yeah, and he was a victim of the survey epi problems. Like, and like he would like try to like plan his paths to get away from you guys, and you know, like
There's
didn't
no
work
paths,
always. Didn't really
man.
work ever. Didn't, but yeah,
It's hard. Yeah.
On that note, I just briefly want to jump to the future. So like we get back to like this Gibby meta though. Like you talked about like now you get to be the Gibby instead of the Wraith. Like that's what you used to play back in the day. Shotgun meta. That's when you guys kind of had like your like big like you excelled in the past, and now you're back to that again today. So you talked about how much you love this meta. Is it because of that? Like it feels like finally after 4 years you got to have that experience again. Or like how do you feel that like after all this time you finally get that shotgun sniper Gibby meta bubble fighting meta back?
Dude, I fucking hated SMGs. Not because like the quality of the game was different, but because I'm asset tracking. I'm so bad at it. My aim shakes like I'm fucking earthquaking 24/7. Everybody knows it. You know what I'm saying? And I just wasn't that good. And like the dynamics of smoke and shit, it just wasn't as fun. It wasn't as creative for me personally because I really like shotguns and sniper rifles. High risk, high reward kind of stuff. So now that we're back in shields and back in shotguns, I mean, it feels like everything is in control. No matter where you're at in the map, no matter where you're at in an enemy team, you can always control like a 3x3 or like a 5-meter radius circle around you. Always, right? And one thing I'm telling Kim, a little off topic, is like nobody's really good at cycling tacs now, but if you get it down to the second, there's not a single fucking thing anybody can do with you or to you with grenades or anything if you're good about it, right? And so that just gives you more control, and if you have more control, then you're obviously way more confident making decisions and understanding information and shit like that. And so in accompanied with shotguns, I really fucking love shield meta, and it feels refreshing. It just it clicks in my brain more than a DT and smoke. Like, even AR meta is pretty fun, but damn, dude, I like the psychological warfare of being in a bubble and when you're going to peek and the tempo and shotguns and all that stuff, It's a lot more chaotic, and I feel like I have good impulse decision-making, so it works out for me, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just that like I was getting tired of SMG meta as someone who plays controller too. Like I don't know if I was just getting like tired or bored of it, but it's like ever since bubble meta has come back, I see the bubbles go down by like whether I'm playing or whether I'm watching, and I get excited. I'm like, how's this gonna go? Because like it does, like especially this meta, I found like with Gibby, like you could be a little bit more careless with your bubble, but like that old meta felt like so strategic because the cooldown was longer. So you like it was always like I remember just always back in the day, it's like, who's gonna drop the bubble first? And it's like this is the biggest thing. Like yeah, it was like I just love having it back. I've been very happy with this meta.
Yeah, in the evolved form that it is. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and it's got to be nice because like you have been like the Sentinel guy, and then Design, I would say he followed fairly shortly after you were just absolutely just decimating with it, and like you were on Bangalore doing it. Now you're on Gibby, and it basically is just like the Monsoon special of Apex right now. I feel like it's just everything is like playing into your strengths as a player.
Dude, I struggled in SMG smoke meta to prevail in a future meta that actually feels really good for me, for sure. Every aspect about it is so fucking fun, so I love it. I honestly honored too that even people fucking think of that way, or me in that way too, so it's kind of still fucking mind-blowing about it all. But yeah, I love it. It's perfect. There hasn't been a meta that's felt better for me personally, like playing it and getting on to play and like extracting learning from, than this one, no doubt.
So I'll give a personal anecdote just from this side, because it's going to end in a question, I promise you. But when this show had first started, I wasn't watching a whole lot of competitive Apex. I just knew how to host shows, and so I came on and I would throw it down to Enoch and Finn, and I knew most of the players, but I was not familiar with your game. And then when one of our hosts had left, I was taking more of a front seat role on trying to figure things out. So I'm watching everything. And that was the first time I ever saw Monsoon play. It was on Storm Point. I think you were contesting a team. I don't remember who it was. You had a sentinel in your hands, and I was locked on you guys and your comms and just listening to how the team was playing, how the team was fighting, watching you fire off shots. It was magical. It was like Steph Curry with the 3, Bo Nix throwing 93-yard touchdowns. It's like you expect
Damn, that
those
is
things to
high
happen.
praise, sir.
Yeah,
that is
you
high
just expect
praise.
it to
I love
happen,
that he
right?
went there.
So I just want to ask, I mean, we already kind of talked about it a little bit with Arma, and you said you would sit there and you'd practice for forever, and that kind of helps you get a base on how to use a sniper rifle.
Mhm.
But in this game right now, is there anything else that you do extra to kind of hone in more a little bit on that sniper skill? And how closely do you think it translates to also using the shotguns?
Oh yeah, I mean, it really comes from understanding like every pace and facet of the game in each situation in the game that you're in, right? So in terms of like raw aim, I don't feel like I work on really raw aim mechanics. It's more so just like pacing, positioning, and timing, and understanding like my fail safes and how to gap close and how much they have to gap close and so on and so forth. And having a good understanding of the pacing allows you to be more creative in your plays. And once again, back to the confidence thing too. If you know you're in control, then you have a lot more confidence. And so I really think that's all that is right now. That's been like the major buff to the entire playstyle of like close to mid-range sniper rifles, is just understanding that, you know, especially with Jibby and shield meta. Like if I know I have a 5-second gap close to point B in, you know, to get to an enemy team to like force them into a close range confrontation, then it's like, okay, I can get one shot off. You know, they have to take 12 shots before they even crack me, you know, so on and so forth. So understanding the pacing and understanding the angles and positioning has really enabled me to be more consistently successful with sniper rifles in general, you know? But obviously shotguns, since the addition of Akimbo Mozambique, you just don't get punished for it. Before an AR meta, before another meta's SMG meta, you know, you had to be 100% accurate with your tracking, with your rifles. And if that wasn't the case, you needed a secondary. But obviously, because the dominance of Mozambiques, when they were introduced, it was like, you don't need anything other than 10 shells of hammer points to wipe an entire team. So there, like the risk of only running one gun in a CQB was just negated entirely. Now you have the only upside of opening up a fight with a sniper rifle. And it's the same thing now, because not only I get an arm shield and I get to move super fucking fast, which, you know, obviously if we add values to them, then it starts to value to each individual dynamic of the game and the characters, you know what I'm saying? Like it starts to add more that like the reward is higher than the risk, right? And especially with the auto reload on shotguns now, I mean, it's the perfect recipe to be able to get away with sniper rifles as a whole. And because I've been able to use them more, you know, I naturally get better and understand more about like the shields and the timings and how to peek with them and, you know, stuff like that. You know, I could go on and on and on about every small little thing, to be honest. But yeah, it works well together, and I get to play it more, which means I get to have more experience and get better with it.
No, I'm gonna show my team that entire clip, because like we got 1 day of scrims and BLGS left, and they won't let me pick up a sentinel. I'm on Gibby. They won't let me pick up a sentinel. I'm like, boys, can't find another gun. I'm gonna run Sentinel Mastiff. They're like, I'm disappointed in you. I was like, dude, what's that all about? Like, I don't like. I'm fine.
It's the best time to run.
Your Sentinel is not Monsoon Sentinel.
That is fair.
You
That's
got
a fair
it. Yeah, like shh. They just need to know that it's a good kid. They just need to know it's a
that
good
it
kid.
could be, right?
Hey, I think my Sentinel's kind of nice. I'm not saying it's Monsoon Sentinel, but I think it's kind of nice.
It is interesting too, because I think, and this, I don't even think this is really a question, but I've watched so many like traditional sports, and what's beautiful about sports is not always every year is the champion the only storyline. There's a lot of other things, and there is basically an entire interwoven story every single season that creates an entire whole of a league. And when you talk about certain players and certain teams and things that happen that may not have resulted in like the ultimate prize at the end of it, it's still beautiful. And I think one of the most beautiful things in Apex that we have is Monsoon with the sniper rifle in his hands. I think it's just it's so fun to watch. It got me so locked in. LA, I was so excited to be there and just witness that in person. And because I was able to go to that one, that's the only one I've been to. So it was not even really a question. I just think it's so beautiful. It's awesome to watch. It's
Dude,
awesome to see.
You are giving me the premium fucking gas right now, and gas is expensive nowadays.
Yeah,
dude.
especially in
Thank
California
you.
right now.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. No, thank you so much. I appreciate it. God damn, you're gassing me up too much. Too kind. I appreciate it.
No, it's just great. It's great to watch. It's great to see. And I guess we can transition this into Japan, which is going to be. Oh, you have another
Before
one?
we transition to Japan, because we're like, so we've still on like the Gibby thing. And so we need a clip farm Monsoon real quick, because there's a lot of people out there in Apex Legends who do not know how to like bubble fight.
Oh yeah.
And so if we could get a little bit of like some insight on your best bubble fight tips to win that psychological warfare and just shit on your opponent.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this a lot, because I have like a billion thoughts and ways to like explain it, but obviously narrowing it down to something that's like good and digestible. I'd say the biggest thing in bubble fights is tempo, right? And what is tempo? It's the tempo of the fight, the tempo of your shots, the tempo of your health, the tempo of your heals, the tempo of your steps, so on and so forth. If you pull up two Jibbies, red armor, purple bolt mastiff, and they fire a shot, and each shot hits for the same amount, they're on the same tempo. You know what I'm saying? But as soon as you find that advantage in the tempo, whether it's like damage or timing of shots or, a half step out of bubble, you have control of the fight, and you know exactly how it's going to go, right? And then, of course, it gets more complicated the more variables that are in it, which are like enemies and teammates and shit like that. But it's the fucking tempo, man. It is the tempo. Another thing is understanding, like, I guess your character model and what you can get away with in terms of peaks, jump peaks, tap strafes, so much shit kind of like plays into what you can get away with and how you can, convert an opportunity into an advantage in the fight, a billion things. But I'd say tempo for sure is understanding like how quickly they can shoot, how much damage their guns can do, and identifying when you are, at a deficit or when you can take more control and punish people for shitty mistakes and decisions. So really just tempo, just patience, shotguns, understanding. That's it. I think that's the biggest tip.
The character model one's interesting because I feel like it was almost unintended that like to have bubble fights, you need Gibby. But like he also has the biggest hitbox. And yeah, he's got his arm shield, but it makes it that like you have to be so much more aware. But they need the character, so he has to be there for it to be executed, but you have to be so much aware if you're that player, because you might think that you're not in the bubble, but you're in the bubble taking damage.
100%.
It's a cool one just that you brought up there. Yeah, understanding character model. Yeah.
Where at what point in the bubble, like, does your head peek out? At what point of the jump? How fast you're in a slide? At what point you need to be moving a certain amount to be able to tap straight back out just to cover enough of your character model. I mean, it seems kind of like remedial, but at the end of the day, if you can understand it and then apply it, you're going to be way better off than any other player that you're fighting in the bubble. Same thing with like cycling tax right now. All these end games look so messy because teams are absolutely horrendous at understanding their tax, Like I'm seeing Falcons that are like walling and castle ulting 50 seconds before its final zone right there. And it's just like, dang, So there's a lot of stuff to learn for sure.
So now moving on into the Japan and getting ready for arguably what could be the biggest LAN we've ever seen so far. It seems like with all the numbers pouring in and where it's at and all the different things going on, it's going to be a big one. There's also been some big changes to this as well, where E-District enters into the fold here. And I don't know if it's I guess I think most people expected it to be next season when E-District would make it in. Where do you stand on that?
Well, it's very interesting because they had engineered both Stormpoint and Broken Moon to be competitive maps, and they didn't force Stormpoint into competitive until like a year after it came out, something like that. Maybe it was a little bit less than that. I don't know the exact timeline. But when E-District came out, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say it was like a good like set of months. Like there was about like I want to say 6 to 8 months before.
Yeah.
Because I remember it coming out, but you guys played a whole split of Pro League before it was ever put into to comp.
Into actual rotation. Yeah, we weren't scrimming on it. I mean, I think we had tried to scrim on it sometimes, but it wasn't like the standard, So it comes to a surprise for me in essence of we released Broken Moon and we engineered it to be competitive, and had already seen one revision of the map overall. So just based on patterns, it seems like they would put that in. But playing E District immediately off the top of my head, fantastic, perfect. It's like it's so good. The CQB, the rotates, everything about it is super fun. It's like 3D, right? There's so much capability, to be honest. So the fact that it felt that good and it received a lot of love and support for the map overall, and enjoyment seeing it in tournaments and in scrims and stuff like that. I'm glad that they pushed it through, because obviously World's Edge has been in circuit for like 4.5 years now, 4 years, something like that. So surprised, but glad, basically. And I support it, to be honest. I like E District a lot in comp.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. And like, you know, with Japan being such a big LAN, they're already talking, it's gonna be the biggest one we've ever had and everything like that. What I was kind of like curious about too is you at the beginning of the podcast here, as we were talking, you spoke a lot, like kind of retrospectively, like you never thought you'd like be like as a pro and everything like that. But then,
Yeah.
and like this is where you've got to now. But even aside from that, like just thinking retrospectively about your career, I know for a while there was almost like a down period where like you hadn't qualified for LANs with your team, you competed with a bunch of LANs, and like you always kind of like fell short. But this year you've been to every single LAN. You've made finals for the first time at Germany, and now you guys have qualified for Japan, which is like, I'm sure like it is going to feel so special to compete there. Do you think about like what the last 5 years have been like with your career, and like with the ups and downs? Like, how do you feel now, like with having like this, big, huge kind of monumental moment coming up?
I think about it every single moment that I'm awake, and I think about Apex the same. It has been such a rough period. I can't lie. Like the 2-3 years of our downtime, not qualifying to the first champs after winning like playoffs and second in playoffs and stuff, that was devastating for sure. And then never having like a solid roster or having a comfortable option to like try to build on an actual roster kind of like sucked to the entire time, especially when we're falling short by, I think the first time we got 11th when it was top 10, and then when it was top 11 we got 12th, just shy a few points each time. So it felt fucking awful. At some point I questioned whether or not I was up for it, or if I could do it, but at the end of the day, like I kind of just do what I need to, and what I love, and Apex is what I love and what I need to do. And ultimately I kind of just trusted the process, and I tried to keep my whole heart and soul into it in a good, bright, healthy way that would be beneficial to like me regardless of outcome. And I think that's been like the whole insight for me with Apex, my relationship with Apex the past year is just like, even if it goes wrong, can I still like enjoy how I spent my time getting there, And that's why I'm not like a fan of like fucking cutting people or changing teams every month, shit like that. But now that we're doing well, and when it came to LA, when we first picked up Blue and we played that pro league, I knew. It was like, oh shit, this is fucking it. Like this is possible, and in the ways is that it could be possible, nobody else but me understands. Like, and that's the same that goes for everybody. So went to LA, had that happen. It was close, despite like my hand was fucked up for that event. My hand was really fucking bad too. So I kind of attribute like the lack of success there, not only on comp but other shit. But then going to Germany and making grands, and as soon as we got into grands, the games were way fucking easier than all the other games. It just, in terms of like concept, I guess, and prediction and understanding, it just came to a point of execution and executing better than other teams, right? In grand finals lobbies, it's easier to understand what's going to happen than in groups, because so many teams are doing so many different fucking things and different POIs, whatever it may be. And so through all of this, like I feel super validated and just so glad that I continue to like stay and play, and the fact that I can share the space with so many other wonderful players that have, because we're in like the 5th generation of pro players too, you know what I'm saying? So after all this time, through all the shitty lows and the times I wanted to quit and I hated my life and fucking all that shit, it feels the best ever. Apex has never felt better than what it does for me right now. Every facet of what Apex is. So yeah, powerful shit. I feel powerful.
It's very similar to Enoch's phrase, gratitude extremist.
Fuck
that's,
yeah.
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And we get to see it in not only just the way that you are on streams, the way you are when you're at the LANs, but just being able to be in all those content pieces, you see some of the personality come through. And I think that's the other part that's so awesome is before we started this, I went back and I remember at LA, they did the emoji thing and you're the star of that.
That's so funny.
I said to Jumba, I just met Jumba. I like for the first time ever, I'm sitting next to him. I'm like, Monsoon needs to be I just want the camera on Monsoon. I just want every player as an emoji. I want to see if he can figure it out. It was one of my favorite content pieces of all time.
That's so funny. Yeah, that was hard for me too.
Yeah, I know, but it was awesome. The funniest one was Sweet Dreams, and then you're like, yeah, I got it, Slayer.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Yeah, top
course,
five
man.
moment. Top five
Appreciate
moment.
Well,
I'm glad you
I
liked
love
it.
There's so much stuff, but like there's even the interview with We the People. I think it was at Germany where it's like you say the F word the first time and like you can kind of tell he's like kind of uncomfortable, like, oh, like please don't swear. And then like at the end he says something, he's like thanks, and you lean into the mic to a second time go fuck yeah, like as it's transitioning out back to the desk, back to analyst desk.
The producer was sitting behind the camera like biting her fingernails, man. So I feel bad for putting her in that position, but also I'm just me, you know. So I fucking love it.
That's the best part. Now, we're gonna go kind of into the weeds a little bit here. On this podcast, we believe in something called championship celebrations, and what that basically means is after a game is won in the group stages, or even in winners losers bracket, whatever it may be. I've always looked at the celebration, and if there's like a missed dap, or there's barely a knuckle touch, I'm like, I don't know if they can win a championship that way. Does that translate? Not at all. But it's the way I like to think about it.
It might.
It might,
No,
though.
it does.
Now, with you and complexity, every single time there's a celebration, I'm like, that's a championship celebration. They can win it all. Is there any thought process that goes into any celebration, or is it all just pure delight?
It is pure delight and adrenaline every time. There's nothing better. Like, not even fucking 5 months of paychecks would hit the same as winning a fucking game. Winning a game when it matters is relief. It is like, I don't even, it's like a remedy. You know what I'm saying? That shit is fucking crazier than drugs. Like, my adrenaline, everything. So every time we celebrate, it's just like, I guess, a true display of our overwhelming emotions, I guess. I don't know. So nothing's really planned, except the Red Bull was kind of planned, can't lie. But everything else, it's just fucking hype, man. It's just hype.
I think Kimchi is a perfect partner in crime for those
Absolutely.
two. I think that's what makes your guys' championship celebration so much better, is that you've got two guys completely playing off of each other every single time there's a win. The celebration just pops off. It's like an instinct for you two.
Yeah, that's my fucking best guy, man. Fat ass meathead. It's like, it's fucking perfect.
Oh my god,
Yes.
We're not even talking about they did the whole Barbie video with you guys. Can I tell you a funny story actually? So like I was working on some videos behind the scenes at that event too, and I was sitting next to the editor watching that, like that was editing that video, and they were laughing so hard that they just keep replaying when I think it's you slap Kimchi's ass, or I don't know if he slaps your ass, but I have probably seen that 100 times because like we didn't have a big editing bay, so like
That's so funny,
my
dude.
hand would hit that guy's hand every time I had to move my mouse. So I have watched you slap Kimchi's ass probably 100 times because he would just laugh, rewind it, laugh, rewind. Come over here.
That's
laugh,
really
rewind it.
that's so goofy. That's so goofy.
Because they would show everyone, every new player, like, oh, new person, new talent, like the casters. Look, you guys got to see this video right now. And I was sitting there for the whole thing, so it's like,
that's
like
fucking hilarious. I'm so sorry. First of all, I'm so sorry.
I was laughing the whole time, being there part of it, but
God, that makes me so happy to hear that at least somebody can enjoy something that I fucking do, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's great. And then the other in the weeds question that we love to ask, and this is our favorite, is top bunk or bottom bunk when it comes to playing on the stage at ALGS. This is a very important question we ask everybody.
Or bunk beds. If you ever shared bunk beds at a LAN, you could talk about that too.
I mean, I would do whatever Kim wanted. I would be agreeable. I'm totally neutral, top or bottom on the beds for sure. But on stage early on, when it was like 125 degrees in our booths at like fucking Poland and shit, yeah, bottom bunk for sure. But they've done good at like sourcing good stadiums that keep the temperatures minimally low, so it's not like I'm overheating or too cold. So honestly, I'm still agreeable, but I do like the bottom side for sure. The top side, you get to see everybody a bit better, you know, and you get to have eye contact and like make weird faces at people that you see are looking at you at top. But you know, the bottom is also cool too, because you get to see all the dudes running around in front of you and stuff. So honestly, I'm agreeable.
Bottoms run away with the lead, I think, in the recent podcast. We don't have the numbers, but I think the choices of people saying bottom has definitely run away.
It's dominated.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, the interesting part is a lot of the wins have come from the top.
Yeah, all the wins have come from the
Oh,
top.
yeah, actually.
Yeah. We have the math.
Yeah.
There's like 4 out of 7 is at the top, so it's like it's close, but
It's close.
But there's still a lead, obviously. Yeah,
there's a lead. There's a lead.
That's it. I remember that.
Yeah, that's just something we always have to ask. We have to make sure everybody knows. We just want to get it on record, you know? We
Yeah,
just
no,
wanna get
I
on
get
record
it.
for
I
the
get it.
future.
It's very important.
it's we talk most important things we talk about: championship celebrations. Now at this point, are you taking the top bunk or bottom bunk in your bed or on stage?
every
Most important
single
things.
pod.
And logos. We hit logos a couple times.
We hit logos
I mean,
a lot too.
Complexity. It's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys logo. They used to have a different logo, but I think like every time you've been with there, it's been the star, right?
Yeah, it's been
I think the star fucks. I think the star fucks.
I mean, it fucks. If we weren't like owned by the Cowboys, it wouldn't fuck. But because we're so closely affiliated with them, because at first I was like, dude, what the fuck? This looks like the star in my neighbor's sandal, you know, like the Dallas Cowboys sandals. And then when I got there, it was like, oh yeah, our facilities are. I was like, oh okay, shit, my bad. That you know, makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but I think, yeah, actually, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes with logos and complexities soon for sure.
Ooh. I felt like a teaser. I felt like an interesting little teaser there.
I don't know.
E, did you have anything else for him? You're muted right now.
Classic.
The classic.
I have my
classic
last question, but do you guys have anything else you guys want to
No,
ask?
I got I think we hit on
set.
everything we wanted to hit on.
Okay,
so
well,
E, if you wanna hit him with
I
it.
have another question before that.
Okay.
So you are not just like we've spent this entire time talking about like the video game stuff that you do, obviously, because like pro Apex player, but
Pro
like
Apex.
you are a multi like talented individual. Like you're whipping it up in the kitchen, and then you also do music. And do you mind like touching on like how those have like impacted your life?
Yeah, dude, I'm just like, I love the creative juices, you know, and feeling them and doing things that I want to do. So it's like, I wouldn't even say that I'm talented. I've just allocated enough time to like form some sort of understanding of shit that I enjoy. One thing's cooking 100% in like kitchens and growing up all the time. But music too. Yeah, I grew up playing music all the time. I remember, you know, my family wasn't really well off growing up, but I remember I begged my parents for like 4 months to let me be a xylophone player in band in like 5th grade, you know, so kind of like all started from there too. But it really just comes down to like finding things that I enjoy and then just spending the time doing it too. So one thing with music that was super cool was the year 3 championship anthem. They gave me the opportunity to make my song for that and fucking debut it on stage in the set that we were playing in, and that was fucking crazy, man. Like, holy shit, that's insane to be able to share something so special with me, or to me, with obviously like the fucking Apex community, also something so special. I mean, the way that it's been able to intertwine is just fucking, I don't even know, you know. I like cry to this shit. So it's good. It's beautiful. So
Fire.
that's
I
it.
was gonna say that could have. I couldn't imagine how emotional that could have been. Like seeing that up there, something that you created like that. You didn't have to play right after they premiered it, did you? Or like, did you have to play with some tears in your eyes? Like,
Dude, I was so fucking hyped, dude. I was just like pumping. I think my heart rate was easily like a 180 for sure after that, dude. When it ended, I was like, I stood up and I was just like, and I was like freaking out and shit. And then we immediately loaded into the game. So that was our best set that LAN though. So I do think that gave me the edge, to be honest. That hype, for sure.
crazy.
It just opened up a whole nother set of questions for me real fast. My bad.
Oh yeah, no
my
worries.
problem.
No, you're good.
But
I got you.
I love talking about those moments because I think depending on whatever field you're in, it doesn't have to be video games, it doesn't have to be Apex, it could be whatever it is. There's always, I think, for some people, that moment where you realize, and you kind of alluded to it earlier in the show, where you realize you're just like, it may not make sense to other people, but I know I can do it, or I know that this was a moment for me. That one stands out probably. But is there any other moment where you came to terms and realized you're like, holy shit, I can do this? And it may not have been just with competitive. It could have been with, streaming. It could have been with music, could have been with, being able to find someplace stable for it. Like, was there ever a moment where you were just like, I can do this?
Dude, I mean, ultimately, so many fucking moments over the last 15 years of it, for sure. But in terms of like Apex, I think it was when we won the first playoffs with Reptar and Shiny, and Rep and I are just like hugging it because we lived together. We're just hugging and crying in the fucking living room, we're just going crazy over it. And I was like, holy shit. Because before, like, the best placing we had gotten was like 4th place. We had never won anything, not even like an ESA weekly. So when that happened, it was like, holy shit, like it is possible. And my understanding of what could be possible, it just like changed entirely. But for music, it was, I mean, I didn't think that it would be anything, I just do it for fun. I do it on stream sometimes, but to like have a song and shit, like I turned down a lot of people, like even hideouts, who was like, hey, my boy, who's like, hey, let's make some music. He's like, no, dude, fuck that. I'm not good enough for that shit. You know what I'm saying? But Onset got back to me with the song and the guitar, and he was like, hey, what do you think of this? And I was like, holy shit, this could be real, So there's been a bunch of different moments like that for me. And now I just live my life thinking and feeling that anything is possible. No matter who you are, no matter what the fuck you're doing, anything's possible. Yeah.
Now, real quick, favorite dish to cook? I want to hear that
Dude,
one.
I'm actually currently scrolling down your Twitter, looking at all the food you cook. And
Oh my
I
God.
want to talk about this too, and I'm just like literally like looking at like, damn, this
Dude,
food.
thanks God. You guys are so sweet, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for
we're
being so
gassing
interested.
you up, man. We
Such
are.
good vibes. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. My favorite dish to cook, it has to be hot pot. And it's not necessarily a dish, but like an overall meal. But like when I can get down and dirty and make the stock for 48 hours before and use the stock for hot pot and, get some nice meat, shipped in and stuff like that, and set up, make my own sauces, make my own ponzu and tofu and whatever the fuck. I think that's my favorite to make. But otherwise, if I'm like top 5, pho, probably. I just love soup. Sushi. Overall, I love like chicken too. I love chicken. Chicken's so misunderstood. Fucking anything with fish, basically. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's really it. Just different proteins and different soups and different vegetables, basically. So
If there was like a list, say for instance, of like top 5
Top
meats,
5 meats,
where is chicken
I'm-
on that ranking?
No,
Dude,
we
it's-
should have top.
yeah.
Yeah. Just where does chicken rank on top?
Where
5
does
meats?
chicken rank?
Does it make it into your top 5?
Dude, I think it's hard to have a top anything because once you know how to fucking cook it, like everything becomes equally as nice. You know what I'm saying? So does chicken hit my top 5? Fuck yeah, it does.
Yeah.
For many reasons. For fucking what you can do with it, for texture, for price, for everything. Absolutely, chicken hits top 5 for sure. No doubt.
Yeah, I feel like chicken is kind of like the blank canvas that anything you can make with any, like chicken can be teriyaki, it can be buffalo, like you can shred it, you can, like there's so many different options. And I know that a lot of other meats have a lot of those options as well, but I feel like chicken is just the perfect blank canvas where you have it in front of you and you're like, I can do anything with this, and I'm
Fuck
going
yeah.
to. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, where's
100%.
steak on the list?
Oh my god, beef has to be like 1, I think. Beef.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, I
Good
think
answer.
beef's
Good
1.
answer.
I'm sorry.
Strong.
No,
Well,
that's fair.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah, you should, yeah, it's your list.
Fish as a whole category has to be like almost like right there. If beef is a 5, then fish is a 4.9. For sure.
I'm gonna ask kind of like an odd question. Have you ever had Cornish game hen?
Yeah, I totally have. Absolutely.
Would
Yeah.
that be, where's that on the list?
Okay, so Cornish game hen's a little bit smaller, like I think it's a bit bigger than like a quail. And a lot of the things that I cook are things that I really like eating, and I like eating them, but it's, Cornish game hen's probably not on my tippy top, but I do like the fact that the bones are small and you can just take it out and you can like fucking wrap it up or do whatever you want. So Cornish game hens, are really, really fucking good. You can't go wrong.
I've had
with
it
the
one
hens.
time. It wasn't memorable. I did really love quail. I do remember that. Like thinking back on
Quail's
having
so
quail, I really liked that.
Yeah,
But I haven't had it in a long time. Something
just-
I've never had is duck.
oh my
never had
god,
duck.
what
It's
is wrong
so
with you?
good.
Why?
I've never had
Wait,
duck.
where are you?
I
Where?
don't
Hold
know if
on,
I've
where are
had
you
duck.
from? Wait,
Fresno,
Fresno.
California.
You're Fresno. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duck will change your life.
Duck will
Yeah, I
also
need to try
surprise
duck.
you. Duck tastes more like a red meat than it tastes like a poultry. Like it will
Absolutely.
surprise you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
is
fat
so
has
good.
so much more sugar content in it. It's like naturally really sweet.
Quickly
So, like-
turning into a podcast here on food. You
Yeah.
know, people actually probably don't know this about me because I don't talk about it that much, but I love to cook, and especially steaks. I have tried several different ways about cooking steaks. I need to know, do you? Because like I'm trying to like. I always just pan seared them or did them on the barbecue. Now I'm suddenly learning that maybe that's not the optimal method. Are you sous videing it? Are you reverse searing it? Or are you pan searing it? What are you doing? I need to know.
Dude,
And this might change my life.
I have done every fucking kind of cooking method on beef and steak for like a set of a month at a time. Every single one.
Just to answer this, yeah.
I've done sous vides for a month straight. I've done reverse sears. I've done bakes. I've done tempers. I've done fucking aging, wet aging, dry aging, all that shit. They all have a time and place. Because I got tired of sous videing my fucking meat after a while.
Mhm.
And I got tired of eating like A5 or like prime beef a lot too, you know? Because it's just so rich. So I think having the variety gives you the best balance into enjoying everything how it's meant to be enjoyed. You know, fine dining, it's like a few bites per dish, but you're getting served 17 dishes because you're trying to encapsulate the creativity and the evolution of what you can do to everything. You're not supposed to like sit there and gorge down. So I guess it really depends on what kind of beef I have, what I had the last time I had steak, you know? But I mean, I really like sous videing. Otherwise, I'll just temper it with some salt, maybe dry it or wet age it for 3-4 days in my fridge, temper it with salt, rip it on a cast iron, 3.5 minutes each side if it's like an 1.5 inches thick, and I'll eat it like maybe 125 internal, 120 internal.
Okay, so
to know.
now I'm not a cook whatsoever, and so now I have a okay, this one comes to mind here. You have
Yeah.
2 hours, right? And there are people coming over. These people, like you're not necessarily trying to blow them away, but you're like, I got 2 hours and I need to make something good. What would you make? Like, what meal would you create? What would you cultivate?
I mean, if I'm doing a fucking steak dinner, one thing that I really like to do is like a lot of people don't like asparagus, so I'll make crushed fried fingerling potatoes. I'll make asparagus, and I'll make some bread, and then I'll make a fucking steak, and then I'll make a homemade Caesar salad. You know, it's like the staple. Like it's like if you're from the States, you know, you have a steak dinner once every 2 weeks, once a month, if not once a week. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a universal dish in terms of like Western food. But I think sous videing, a lot of people haven't tried it, but they've seen a lot of it. So a lot of people are more like, ooh, like, yeah, I want to have that shit sous vide. But 2 hours is twice the amount of time that you need to fucking have a full sous vide thing. But yeah, I mean, I guess you have to have prep too, you know, but that's pretty much my go-to. If it's not hot pot or like a soup of any form, then it's like a fucking nice steak dinner with everything that you could want for sure.
Hell yeah.
Good
Hell
to know.
yeah, I love that.
Ribeye steak though.
Ribeye,
Okay.
sous vide.
Yeah.
I haven't tried.
Yeah, I
it
think I'm a ribeye man as well.
Yeah.
It's just elite.
Perfect. Enoch, you want to hit him with it?
All right, yeah. After I just made the podcast like 20 minutes longer.
I forgot about the
My
cooking
fault, my
stuff. You
fault.
said it. I was like, oh, how did I forget? Because I put out a tweet like when I did like that video on you, and I put out a tweet. I was like, the only thing I want is I want to try your cooking one day. I don't know if it's ever possible, but it's like
I
it's the
will
thing.
make you some fucking food.
I don't know.
I
I also
swear.
the funny thing too is I think I've seen the entire Apex community make that tweet and be like, "Yo, Monsoon, when can you cook for me?" Like,
Dude, okay. One thing you guys could probably fucking help me with. I'm trying. So I've talked to the people at Apex and EA that host events. I'm like, hey, give me like 20 grand. Let me pick up a squad, and I'll take a food truck to the next event, and we'll run Apex themed like 4 to 5 fucking different dishes on the menu. Let me run it, you know, and then it solves everything, and then it's fucking great. So that would be really cool. But yeah, I look forward to every time I can fucking make food for anybody. That's
We
my
had
love
Shaheen-
language for sure.
We had Shaheen last week. We'll talk to him.
Yeah, that would be
Dude,
so
Shaheen's
perfect.
a goat.
It would be
There we go.
perfect to see you cooking in a food truck, then rushing back onto the stage to play real quick. You know, that'd just be something. It's beautiful. I would love to
Dude,
see that.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. Like if given the opportunity, oh my god, I will have that truck lined up with the best chefs that I fucking know, and it would be a good time for
Hell
sure.
yeah, hell yeah. Alrighty, you want to hit it with it?
Yeah, you could go now.
Yeah. All right. So I'll hit you with the question that I ask everybody who comes on the pod, because everybody who comes on the pod is performing in the top 1% of the field that they're in. You certainly fit the bill for that. And so, what is one thing that I would say, what's the biggest thing that you've learned along the way to getting to the place where you're at that somebody could take, regardless of what field they're in, and help them on their journey to being in that top 1%?
Yeah, it's so cliche, but like, if you want to be top 1% in something, make sure you fucking love it. Like, you just have to follow what you love. You have to follow what you fucking love. You have to. You gotta find the fucking want. You know, if you're thinking about it in your downtime when you're not supposed to be thinking about it, that's like the fucking gateway. It's the drug. But really, it's just like trust the process. You know, like you could be all funked up the entire time, you know, stressing and worrying about this and that, and you know, it's fair to stress and worry about all fucking everything, but at the end of the day, like, you have to be satisfied with how you spent your time, right? Like, that's my biggest thing for myself personally, is I need to be satisfied with how I spend my time, because time is so finite, right? Time is so fucking finite. So spend the time doing things that you fucking love, and if you do that, then you'll get there eventually. Like, you will hit the point. Anybody can fucking do it. Anybody can do it. It just depends on whether or not you want to. Like, that's cliche. It's so cliche. But holy shit, is it so true. So follow the things that you love, apply yourself, and trust the process.
Hell yeah.
Oftentimes,
yeah.
the cliche advice is cliche for a reason, because it's what works.
Dude,
That's what works.
100%.
Hell
Million
yeah.
percent.
Well, this has been everything I hoped it was and more. Monsoon, thank you for hopping on the pod for the very first time. And, you know, we're heading into Japan soon. The one thing we need to figure out is next time you hop on, we need to see that trophy. That's
Dude.
what we need.
First, thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it. Thanks for fucking the love and the gas and the support, regardless, through it all. Appreciate it. Jumba, fucking, you're a pimp. All you guys are G's. I appreciate you guys so fucking much. You guys are so kind. I love the fucking podcast. And one thing that I can promise is I'm going to be better than anybody else, and nobody can stop me.
Hell yeah. Hell
There we
yeah.
go.
Not to
Well,
be egotistical, but
Can't wait
No.
to
Oh,
win.
07.
Yeah. Well, once again, Monsoon, thanks for hopping on, and hopefully we'll see you again soon with that trophy in your hands, man.
appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, ladies and gents, that was Monsoon. Shout out to Monsoon for hopping on the pod for the very first time. I don't know about you guys, but that was everything I was hoping for and expected, and we got it. That was why we've wanted Monsoon for so long. It literally is every time, every week, we'll be like, Monsoon. And it's just one of those guests that you just really want to have because of that personality, because of who he is. And it was awesome. It did not disappoint.
Every week I finish a podcast, I think to myself, that was one of my favorite. And like, it's tough because today that was really one of my favorite.
Yeah. No, that one's definitely up there. And I always say that episode was my favorite, but that one truly was like one of my favorites of all time. Heart to heart time, ladies and gents. Let's get to the heart to heart. It's been a while since we've had an episode. We apologize, guys. But the thing is, it's the holidays, and also there's not a whole lot of news. And also, we still have like 2 months almost until we've got champs. So things will probably start to ramp up here in a little bit. But that's just kind of where we're at right now. We don't want to just come on here and do some filler episode of nothing. We want to make sure we have on a good guest, and if there's nothing to say, we're not going to, take more of your guys' time. So that's where we're at right now. I do want to do a quick shout out before we get into heart to heart and say to everybody who had us in your Spotify Wrapped, thank you so much. It's my favorite time of year. There's a lot of, when you've been doing this as long as I've been doing it, sometimes you can feel like you're going nowhere. And I'm sure that's like everybody has that in some field or whatever they're doing, whether it's work or a hobby that you're trying to, get successful at or whatever it is. You just feel like, man, am I even making a difference? Am I doing anything? And Spotify Rap season always reminds me that there are people just like me who are at work and just want to listen to something to help their day go by a little bit faster. And I'm glad that we've been able to do it for as long as we've been doing it. And it's so cool to see our pod in like a mixture of other you just see our pod with like Joe Rogan. You see our pod with some of the best comedians
Over the Yard
in the world,
which is like Ludwig's podcast. I couldn't believe that one.
Yeah, I saw a pod. It was literally grab my banner, the Apex, pack a pod, grab my bachelor. In the top 4, it's like they're only listening to me and all the boys. It's like crazy. It's like, what the hell is going on? You cannot want to hear my voice that much. There's no way you can. There's no way. Like at a certain point, it's got to get annoying.
I've always wondered because, like, with the different shows, I assume there's different listeners for each show. But yeah, there obviously is crossover. So there's some people listening to you do the "What's up, guys?" on the same intro on every episode of every different podcast.
And that's why I said me, because I'm hosting most of these,
Yeah,
so I'm talking a lot. Like I'm talking a ton. And so it's like I do the same intro. The only one I don't do the same intro on is grab my bachelor. I say, all right, here we are.
Because it feels like it's a different segment, right?
Yeah.
Because like the Bachelor was a segment of Banner originally. So it feels like you always start your new segments with all right.
Yeah, exactly. So I love Spotify rap season. It's so cool to see. And we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for listening to us as long as you have. And also the YouTube stuff, some of the YouTube ones where they show you what you've been watching on YouTube. We've been getting those as well. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Love y'all. Who wants to go first? Jumba?
I'll rep it. I came prepared this week. I actually have 2. The first one I think is just more of a fun one. I think I could talk about this now because like they told people we could stream it even, but like we did his Watson video. This is like you guys will probably see this before the video comes out. So I won't give it away. I won't give it away too much. You guys should go watch his Watson video. He did a collab with a bunch of creators and me and Enoch were a part of it. It's like a GeoGuessr type video. That's as much as I'll say. The only thing that absolutely was so funny to me is first Enoch like gets there last. Like I found that funny because like when we do the podcast, like sometimes we're waiting for you to get off stream, and me and Wyatt are trying to fill the time talking these pros.
I did tell Solace that I was going to be a few minutes late.
That's fine. That's fine. They were cool with it, but like so I'm waiting there, and all of a sudden I see E pop, and I'm like, no shot, Enoch's here. Like so that was great. But the funny thing is they're explaining the rules, and Enoch's like, bro, nice to see you, man. What are we doing? I'm so confused. Like DMing me separately, and I was like dying.
Well, no, because I let it. I think the first thing I said, I was like, "Man, they let Jumba in here. We just letting anybody in."
Yeah. And then after it's like he's like, "You got the link for the game. I'm lost. We each got our own code, so it's like I can't give you mine."
I didn't even know that we were doing it in Apex. I thought we were all playing GeoGuessr like on the thing, game. And it was just like Apex creators. That is not what it was. And I won't leak, but I would say that I had a memorable exit.
Yeah. I'll just say like Enoch, I won't leak because you definitely should watch the video. It had me killing myself laughing. Enoch had a very interesting strategy, which I thought was great and like just created for like a good moment, like some good moments there, I think.
Hell yeah.
The strategy absolutely. Never mind. Actually, I won't say it.
It was a memorable
experience.
Yeah, I won't say anything else. My second heart to heart, I thought this was a really special one because we were talking about Spotify Wrapped, and last year I put out a tweet. Let me quickly get it because I want to read out the tweet exactly how it was, and I did find it recently. So just give me 2 seconds to bear with me because I know I can find it really quick if I just do. Yeah. So I tweeted out last year. I said Spotify or like on Spotify, the Apex the podcast was my top podcast for 2023. And I said, thanks for keeping me in the company in the car this year, boys, with the salute emoji. And I said, and this is my formal request to be invited on the pod. So last year I was just a fan trying to get invited. November 29th, 2023. And these motherfuckers took another 5 months to still invite me. That is fucking crazy, bro.
We egoed.
I didn't get it. I had Finn drop a fucking vouch under this tweet. Jayhawk I knew was vouching behind the scenes. And these guys didn't invite me until April. And then
Hey.
Wyatt has the audacity
Wait.
after we go to LAN to say, "Want to be a host?" Like,
Okay, hold on. Was Finn still on the show at this time?
no.
Okay, so that's probably why. Because every week after, at least for the first couple months after Finn left, me and Enoch were like, we were just scraping by. We were just like, what?
And I
we
was
got this
there.
one. Yeah,
I
it took
was
us a little
there
bit to get our
giving
legs underneath us.
I was there giving you a layup, like, "Hey, yo, I can be on here." And you guys just egoed me for 5 months. That's why. That's
The
more
timing
lore
was
to-
right. Everything happened in the right
Everything
timing.
worked out. Everything worked out.
Realistically, the funny thing is, it was like the way I ended up finally getting invited on is because because remember like the whole joke I told you guys in the past where it took so long. Where I was like, if these guys ask me, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. Remember that? Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, like what ended up happening is like then after like we had there is the whole the hacker situation with Apex. What's his name again? Destroyer 2009. Which then the finals were like a replayed stream. Everyone knew who would win. So Jayhawk did a very casual stream where Wyatt was on it, and then I jumped in there, and then so I was just vibing. Then me and Wyatt found our love for hockey, which then kind of had us vibing, which then led into you guys needed a guest that week. And like Enoch, you weren't available and everything like that. And so like Wyatt was like on his own and he like DM'd me, he's like, "Sorry, this is last minute, but do you want to hop on?" I was like, sure, I'll be there. We had a fun time the other day talking about hockey. And
It was sick.
funny enough, we also realized that like, so it really does feel like everything happens for a reason, because then on that podcast, like I love having you on there, Enoch, and I think it would have been great, but I wonder if this would have came up where it's like Wyatt, I don't know if you saw this or if you saw the Juggernaut fridge, but you brought up zombies, which led into us like doing every single Easter egg this year with all the boys. Like we would have had that if we ever didn't have that episode with the exact way that it was, right?
Yeah. I'll kind of, is that your full heart to heart? Because I
guess, yeah, because like I will say, like, it just felt kind of special, like, everything this year that like there's a lot that is like, like fruition didn't come, like, from like hanging out with the boys every night in Discord. Like honestly, BLGS, like I have BLGS teammates because like they were from the Discord right now, like, and like getting to meet Connor and like, we've done the Easter eggs, which was kind of like, it sounds weird, but was like such like a childhood dream and goals to do those zombies Easter eggs. And like a lot of that came from you guys egoing me and not putting me on the podcast after I asked for that Spotify Wrapped. So it's like, it meant like, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I guess I'll follow up with my heart to heart this week, which was Jayhawk brought up the great point to me like 2 nights ago where we were talking about if we should do like a separate Discord for Packapod. And we were talking about it and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if a whole lot of people would join at first." And I was like, "You know what, dude? Honestly, the old GMB Discord had a lot of people in it, but nobody would ever chat, nobody would ever play with each other. Like it was kind of just, it felt very fake. And then we made a new one and it was a lot closer, tight knit, less people, but like people who listened to the show and enjoyed the game and wanted to play with one another and wanted to, get better as people, not only as players, but as people. And it was way cooler. And I was telling him about some of the people I've met along the way, just from the GMB side of things. And he said something that kind of floored me for a second. He was like, I had said, I was like, I've met so many people, so many cool people doing this. And it's all just for me, just, firing up and recording something. And he said, honestly, dude, you wouldn't have done anything at all. 'Cause I was talking about how like we may not get as many, views on something or clips on something or not as many listeners on something because it's newer. But I've just been throwing stuff at the wall and just letting it ride and seeing how it goes and just getting back to the love of just posting things just to post things just because I like them. And he's like, that love of posting things got all of us together and got the Apex together. And I didn't even think of it that way. But it was literally, I was just posting TikToks and posting my pods with my friends just because I enjoyed it. I didn't care if anybody watched it. I didn't care if it got views or listens at that time. What happened was I did end up getting views and listens. And then when I stopped getting as many, it slowed me down and it discouraged me from ever wanting to do it. But when Jay said that, it brought into perspective what just doing it for the love of the game brought me. I got to meet Enoch. I got to meet Finn. We got to create this awesome show. From this show, we've met the biggest names in the game. Then after that, I meet Jay. After that, I meet Jumba. Along the way, we meet Connor. Connor brings along Donnie. you know, we have this huge group of people just on this side of things. We go to the LAN. People are like, "Is that Wyatt from the Apex?" Apex. It's like, "Yeah, can I get a picture?" What? Yeah, sure. It's like all this came from just posting for the love of the game, just because I felt like something was funny and I enjoyed it, and it really put things in perspective, because like fast forwarding all this time and like the friendships I've created, all the people I've met, it's awesome, man. It's awesome. So yeah, you know, it is a little unfortunate we didn't bring you on for 5 months after that, but you know, it worked out the way it was supposed to work out, and I'm happy it did. So that's my heart to heart this week, is the weird and wacky ways that life puts you in the situations where you can meet some great people, and I'm very thankful for it. And every time Spotify rap season comes along, I feel sentimental about it, just because it's crazy how this all happened and how this all started. And so yeah, man, it's been great. It's been a great ride. And so that's my heart to heart this week. I would say that's my heart to heart this week. Yours.
Yeah, I'm a rip the gratitude one this week. I know it's gonna be a shocker,
Yes.
but I'm just incredibly thankful to, like, because like I'm definitely at a point where I could like look at different things that are in my life where I could be like, wow, I wish I was like performing better in like these certain areas. But then when I take like a step back and I look at my life from like a little bit like of a zoomed out perspective, I've genuinely like never been in like a better place in my life as a whole ever. And it's like silly how often I can like find myself letting like the areas where I want to be doing better like distract me from all that I have to be grateful for. And I'm incredibly blessed. I'm incredibly thankful, and like the fact that I get to do what I do and interact with all of the people that I get to interact with is just wild. And I'm just incredibly thankful to be where I'm at and to be going where I'm going. And I get to wake up each and every day, and I get to get a little bit closer to that end goal that I'm working towards. And it's a fun time. And I get to raise a family while I'm doing it, which is like my son's almost 3 months old now. And so apparently the average 6-month-old is apparently 17 pounds. And my son is not even 3 months old yet. And this little man is probably pushing 16 pounds soon. He's a little 15-pound little.
Put him in hockey.
Yeah, nah. He's
I was
gonna,
gonna
Put him in
ask.
hockey. Put him in
he's
hockey.
gonna be an
ask.
athlete. I'm thinking he's gonna be a boxer, high key.
Oh, you want
Put him
to?
in
Okay,
boxing,
that's
and
what
I'm
I was
just
going to
He's gonna
ask.
be an absolute animal.
Because you played lacrosse, right?
Mhm.
Do you think you want to have him do that? Or is you thinking boxing?
I think the thing with lacrosse, I think lacrosse is like an amazing sport, and I'm like that period of my life was absolutely amazing, and I wouldn't like do anything different than when I was able to like go through and do all of that. It would be hard for because like lacrosse, that like it'd be hard to like pursue that while not doing anything on Saturdays. And so that's going to be like a thing. And so like boxing is more of like a thing where you could have like a Friday during the day boxing match. You could have a Sunday showcase boxing match where you're like it's a lot more flexible and just like not as like team oriented. And so I think that could be a good angle. But he's definitely going to be an athlete without a doubt, because like I'm an athlete. Mrs. is a fair athlete in her own right. And so it's going to be fun. And dude, literally just like being a dad is the absolute just like greatest thing. And I'm just, it's awesome. And like just life has I've never been better than I am right now.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing.
Hell yeah. No, those 3 months probably went hella fast, huh?
Oh, I mean, dude, my perception of time is literally like, I'm only going to think about it of like how old he is. Like everything else is just
Yeah.
going
Three
to
months
be
even,
like going
yeah.
around that.
It's
3 months
crazy
really
how
does feel wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like I hear all these things that old people told me in the past, and now that I'm becoming the old people, it's like I'm saying them out loud, and then I'm realizing that like they were just trying to get me to understand. But when I was a kid, I was like, "Shut up! Like I don't, I don't want to hear this." But it is it's crazy how things go. Like it's
Dude.
insane. It's
Yo,
insane.
Enoch, if you forced him out to be a right-handed shot, there's not a
Right.
lot of right-handed D.
We
in
need
the-
some
in the
right
league.
hand
We
shot
need some
defensemen
right-hand-
in the league.
in like
And if
16
he's going to be a
pounds, sounds
big
like
body,
he's gonna be
he could drop fools.
Yeah.
Maybe even
No,
score a little
he's
bit.
going to be an athlete, no doubt. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's
I'm imagining the size of Nikita
he's
Zodorov,
so
but
big.
like better.
Honestly, you know,
but better.
the mixture of boxing and lacrosse is just hockey.
Hockey.
Like, you can fight on the ice, you know?
we'll see.
Yeah, no, it's
I'll
beautiful.
have to see if we have any any teams around.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, ladies and gents, it's nice to be back in front of the boys. It's been a while. I told Jumbo before Enoch hopped in here, I was like, man, I haven't seen E in a while. It's going to be nice to see him again. So it's nice to see the boys. It's nice to be back in the studio talking to some Apex Legends pros, especially guys like Monsoon. Thank you guys for being patient. Thank you guys for sticking with us. And we've got some cool announcements, I think, coming along the way. So it's going to be a fun time. We've got champs. It's still not right around the corner. I was about to say that. It's not.
Yet.
But, you know, we're going to be doing our best to fill in the space with what we can. So thank you guys so much for all the support. We'll catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex the Podcast. See ya.